Welcome back. Welcome back to another live stream, guys. Let me check my manual focus here. Let's sit back a little bit. Back to about right there. Get a little sharper. Welcome back to another video, folks. And I wanted to hey, we were here yet? Yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah, that was yesterday. We were here chatting. So welcome, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, everybody's here. Hello to all the people that are at work. Hello, hello. Oh boy. So let me start by giving a disclaimer. I did not watch the full Apple event. I was doing other stuff. I just knew what it was going to be. So I said, you know what? Also, I'll catch the replay. So I didn't end up watching the full event, and I didn't even watch the full replay. I just went through and tried to find some things that I thought was interesting. I scanned through it, basically. I caught the last 30 minutes or so where they're pretty much, I started watching when they were talking about iPhone 13. So I don't really know how much before that, but I did go back and scan and find the part for the iPad mini. And then I watched from the 13 all the way till close. So I caught the Pro and all the others, just all the way to the ending. So however long that was, that's what it was. So I wanted to talk. So I've already got a video that I'll let loose after this live stream because I wanted to give some kind of official thoughts on it just kind of let it be known so people don't have to watch such a full live stream. So how's everybody doing? I see a lot of people coming in. Audio sounds great. Yeah, I might even want to turn the gains down a little bit on this mic because this new microphone is powerful. And I like to keep the microphone out of view. Sometimes, but when I'm doing certain things, I'll have the microphone under me facing up. But nonetheless, hopefully everything is good. Wow, I'm excited to have you guys taking time out of your day to come hang out with me. We're just going to chat for a little bit, for just a little while, and hopefully everything runs smooth. I'm solo right now. Might have a special guest come on and chat later. Anthony couldn't make it. He has some things going on. So I kind of titled this stream exactly how I feel. So LaShawn, what's going on, man? I see you. So I kind of titled this stream how I personally feel, and you can see the text at the bottom. This is personally how I feel. So that's just a glimpse of what the pre-recorded video is going to be like, and it won't be definitely as long as the stream. Probably better than. So let's kick this off. Wow. I see your comments coming in already. If you don't follow Nexus on Twitter, I highly recommend that you go follow Nexus. Let me pull this up real fast because I think they had the best tweet of the day. And I'm going to go ahead and find it for you here. If you don't follow Nexus on Twitter, Google Nexus. Let me see if I can find it. I got to find this for you here. Because I want you to see what they said here. Here they are right here. If you don't follow them, be sure to follow them because I think you'll okay. So follow Made by Google, and then you'll see because Google Nexus kind of has their account locked, so you won't be able to follow them right now. But basically what they said was, hey, wait on the Pixel 6 Pro. And I don't think they're wrong in any kind of way. I think we knew what was going to happen with the Apple event. Not to say that Apple is predictable, but Apple is predictable. We absolutely knew what it was going to be like. So if you came here to see me trash Apple, that's not going to happen because I like Apple products to a certain extent, especially their laptops and tablets and computers. I think they're great. But we definitely need Google to bring some kind of tablet because right now Apple kind of runs the tablet space. And this is no secret. If you're going to lie on this video and say, oh, no, iPads are horrible, you have a personal preference and I understand why, but iPads are definitely way better than when it comes to performance, not so much functionality. I like my Tab S6 Plus or Tab S7 Plus much better than my iPad Pro. because it came with a pen. You know, it's more value to consumer. It's really functional. Editing is really nice on it. But the fact of the matter is, Apple kind of brings these powerful laptops, and it's hard to compete. Their laptops, or not laptops, they're tablets, and they're just as powerful as you know, most people's computers. So the Pixel Slate, I see you. My Pixel Slate is still alive. I gave it to my youngest daughter, who's in college. I gave it to her, and she loves the Pixel Slate. She loves the pen and everything, but she's an Apple person. She obviously has an iPhone or whatever. College student, she's going to have an iPhone, but she likes the Pixel Slate. Her first Android tablet, so to speak, because she normally was using an iPad, but when she saw the Pixel Slate, she fell in love with it. But nonetheless, Apple has done what they do best. Is kind of, I want to start calling them recertified, refurbished, because it's kind of how I feel about, you know, most of the stuff that they say about their products. It's controversial to say that they don't have the tablet game locked away, which they do. Let's give credit where credit is due. And I'm honestly saying that I like the iPad mini. I might put that into rotation and use it more than my Tab S7 Plus. Who knows? But to me, the star of the show was the iPad mini. For some reason, I really like the iPad mini. And again, I didn't watch that part of the event live. I caught that on a replay. And I was actually really excited about that because it's a 8.3-inch display. It's got the A15 inside, and it is a powerhouse, and it is a huge upgrade to iPad mini owners or iPad owners that wanted something more compact with really good cameras and fast, speedy hardware. You just got it with the iPad mini. For sure, you have now the ultimate tablet. It can go into any pocket. You know, it's kind of incredible that they can give that much power to it. And Apple's pretty much always had the tablet game on lockdown after because there's so many Android tablets. The good ones sometimes get overlooked. And right now, one would argue that the Tab S7 Plus to me is probably the best Android tablet that I've experienced. And I have other Android tablets, a bunch of them actually. And the Tab S7 Plus is absolutely phenomenal. However, I think that the iPads are great. I've always liked iPads. You know, I have them. So I think I kind of went full throttle for the iPad mini because I get a nice discount on it from government. And that's more incentive for me to purchase it. But what I don't like about the iPad mini, I don't like the pricing. I don't like the pricing, and I don't like the memory options of the pricing because I think it's bogus that they're still giving a 64 gig. Now, this is going to be, again, I'm not going to get on this video and trash Apple, but I think we all can agree that the iPad mini should have started at 128 gigs, just like the phones, because the iPad mini is in more reach. It's more people can get the iPad mini than they can get an iPhone. The iPad mini is a little bit more functional in a lot of ways for a lot of people. So this is going to come down to Apple kind of robbing the consumer when it comes to value. There's no reason that there should be $100+ difference in the memory option at this point in the game. I mean, like, I like the iPad mini, but am I excited about paying that much more just to get 256 gigs? Now, what I could do is say, screw it, because here is 256 gigs right here on my Type-C dongle that I faithfully use, folks. This is less than $100. So, you know, it's kind of a situation where Apple's still trying to rob the consumer. I just think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. Let me see here. Hold on a second, folks. This dog is really, every time I start a stream, this dog starts going crazy out there. My apologies. So she should get quiet in just a little bit. All right, so with Apple still doing, and I see a comment. Now I see your comments, folks, and if I missed your comment going up on the screen, apologies, but I see a comment here. Let me see here. Apple iPads are not advancing though. especially with plugging into external displays. This is totally true. I totally agree with this. Again, and iPads, to me, iPads are a good place for consumers. I think iPads are a great place for consumers to get into certain things, but it's not. And the thing about it being 60 hertz, I don't care about that. I don't think consumers even care about this. I think this is definitely a tech enthusiast type of conversation. And I don't think they should push. I don't think consumers should be worried about 60 hertz versus 120 hertz. Not to say this comment is wrong. I appreciate the comment. But I just think that when it comes to putting the internals in the devices, Apple is still robbing consumers because they're giving you so much less, and then they're still kind of charging these same premium prices, if you want to call it premium, because that's a terminology, a way to trick you into thinking that you're getting something really premium. But buying these products, it's not like investing in a property or something like that. They lose value immediately, and that's just it. So when I say Apple's robbing the consumer, it's for me, it's just a straight yes, they're robbing the consumer, because why would a consumer want to spend $500 on a 64 gig iPad? And it's at a point now where think of it this way. Apple's just now getting rid of the 64 gig option on their phones. And I think that's wrong, but I have no control over that. I have no control over what Apple is doing. I have the authority and I have the power not to purchase their products. I have that right, and so do you. But that same terminology that they use, like Grant just said, best iPhones ever, I think that's a joke. I think it's just a way to keep making themselves think that they're just so much better than everybody else when it comes to innovating. And I still don't think that they're innovating. I don't think they're taking advantage of any of the things that they could be doing. Like I was talking to Night Tech earlier, and I think he was saying something about 120 hertz could have been on the iPhone 12s. The 120 hertz could have been on the iPhone 12s. And I think that's what the conversation was. And that's correct. It's a matter of a slow grind, and we're going to pull every penny we can out of you. But it's not just Apple doing this. This is every consumer. But Apple's just so much in the forefront, presenting themselves as though they're so great. This is where a lot of consumers fall victim. And I don't like it that they're still kind of doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I just don't get it. They could have had a 4K display by now on their devices for these prices. And yet we laugh at Sony saying, hey, this is not acceptable. $1,300 for this phone. That phone has a pro set of cameras and a 4K display, and it looks better than the iPhones altogether, all of them. So I don't see. The iPad Mini doesn't have FaceTime. It has a fingerprint reader. Grant, shout out to it doesn't have Face ID. It has a fingerprint reader on there. So I just find it strange that Apple still promotes the same way. It's 40% faster. We knew that they were going to do this. Well, the tech space, if you're a tech enthusiast, you knew that this was going to happen. You knew what the event was going to be like. And so that's why I wasn't too quick to watch it. I was talking on the phone to one of my sisters. I was talking to Sister Harris, Minister Harris, as a matter of fact. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll catch the replay, because I knew exactly that this is how the event was going to go. So I'm not at a place where I'm going to keep saying the same redundancy about Apple trying to trash them as a company, because as a company, they have great marketing skills and it's proven. That remains to be seen. However, I just feel like I think they probably should try a new direction and stop saying that they're innovating. Now, as hard as that may be hard, it might be hurtful for some Apple fans to hear that, but Apple is not innovating at all, and they're still asking for the same amount of money. Now, again, we control the market. We determine what is going to be purchased. We determine the pricing. If you don't think we determine the pricing, then yeah, We do, because all we have to do is stop purchasing, and they will. Some people think that Apple can't go under. They surely can. They can flop just like any other company. They can flop just like any other company. They are not immune to failure. But the drive of that people push behind this. Let me put this comment up, because this person must love Apple. I appreciate you coming in, Psycho. But the fact of the matter is, Sony's screens are far ahead of Apple. Be honest with yourself. Don't try to dig deep into megapixels and pixel count and all that. The fact of the matter is, it in fact is a better display than Apple products. You can try to argue that. Well, it's not about you arguing it. You can give your opinion on it, and I respect it. But the fact of the matter is, we laugh at Sony and say Sony's not really putting out a good display, when Apple, and in fact, is still running 1080p displays on their phones, charging more than what Sony is charging. And Sony has actually ProRes cameras on their phones and a higher resolution of 4K at all. Apple doesn't even do any kind of 4K. They're still coming up with these stupid naming conventions of their displays. We have the new Super K-Fade Retina. It's just a freaking 1080p display, upscaled. Yeah, upscaled. So again, I use Sony as an example because of how, as a tech community, we are freaking lost and it seems that Apple is the only one that gets a pass. Yeah, we don't need 4K on a display. No one said we needed 4K, but I still wonder why consumers and tech enthusiasts push Apple as though they're so great when they're not even making any attempt at doing it. And the fact is, I think Apple could probably have a great display if they even pushed it, but they're too busy trying to push it's 40% faster, it's 60% faster, blah, 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 the same stuff every year. And if you're lying to yourself if you say that the iPhone 12 is not the iPhone 13. It's just comical at best. When they said that they innovated and did a new design, from where? And if I'm being honest, the iPad mini, as much as I like it, it's just an iPad. It's just a recycled version of a previous iPad. Is it not? It is, right? It looks exactly like a previous generation iPad. They said they redid the iPad Air when in fact they just used the iPad Pro's body. Come on, man. You have to kind of grasp hold of reality when it comes to this tech stuff. Don't be so narrow on your way of thinking when it comes to Apple and innovation, because Apple and innovation, to me personally, don't go in the same category. As much as I like the iPad mini, it's still old technology and hardware. It's old. They're recycling the same stuff, putting it in a different body, saying, oh, this new chip is here, this new chip is here. Yeah, all of that. I just think Apple runs the same scheme over and over again. And you know what? Hey, applause to them because it's working. Consumers, but I tell you what's not working is that consumers aren't willing to upgrade now and give up their phones. All the polls have come in. Even I ran 2 polls, and people said, I'm not interested in the new iPhone 13. Let me check that poll, as a matter of fact. Yeah, Grant, I totally agree. And Grant, if you don't know who Grant is, folks, he is like one of the, okay, respectfully, no shade to anybody else, but he has probably got to be one of the top tech people for camera reviews. As much as his camera reviews are better than my camera reviews. He genuinely, those videos probably take about 2 or 3 hours to make and then another 5 hours to create, like to edit. This guy right here with this comment, if you don't know who he is, I don't gas anybody up. I don't have to lie about anything. This guy does genuinely good camera comparisons. Fantastic, phenomenal. Better than anybody I've seen do it in a long time. Better than any of your favorite $1 million subscribers. This guy right here goes in. And so I trust him when he says, I don't see the iPhone 13 as a huge camera upgrade Apple is claiming. And I think that's true. I don't even have to have the 13s yet because we know Apple's routine. You know what I mean? Like, we know they're just going to get on camera and say 40% faster, 20% faster. Now you have this, now you have that. It's not shade. What's going on, Tech Loving Mama? It's not shade. It's more along the lines of, this is just marketing. We're going to make you think you're getting something great, and eventually you'll start to believe that you're getting something great, even if you're getting the same product. And I think a company that innovates is companies like LG. And everybody says LG is dead. LG is dead. They're dead because some of you guys weren't smart enough to support real innovation. You keep saying Apple's innovating, but LG was the real innovators. Samsung, another great innovator. Apple knows that, and somebody has said, you know, Apple will bring out a flip phone after it's been out, like a flip smartphone, for at least another 5 years, but then they'll claim that they'll convince everybody that they did it right. When in fact the matter is, they're not willing to take any risks and they don't innovate. So with that being said, I didn't make this stream to make it come across as I'm trashing Apple. That's definitely not the case, but we will in fact critique Apple on these products, and we have to see it for what it is. We have to see it for what it is. They're not really innovating like they think they are. It's about a money grab. All companies, though, let's be clear, all companies are all about that money grab. We know this. However, when Apple does it, it's almost a slap in the face, because people who follow Apple and who love Apple, they'll make every excuse for this phone. They'll say, they'll believe the specs when Apple says, and the sensor is now this, and the sensor is now this, and now they have this, and it lets more light in, it does low light here. They'll believe that and support it, and then they'll talk trash to the people who call them out on it. So be it. Knock yourself out. The fact of the matter is, it's the same phone. It's been the same phone for quite some time. It's been the same phone for quite some time. So I have every intentions on grabbing the iPad mini. I think it was the star of the show for me. Based on what Apple released, I think it was just the star of the show. I think the iPad mini was a well-needed upgrade, and I think if people are smart, they'll ditch this iPad Pro stuff and just get an iPad mini and save a ton of money opposed to doing that. Yeah. And I always tell you guys, there's always an out. Companies will give you an out when they release a flurry of products. They'll give you that one that they don't really want to talk about too much, because they know you'll probably wake up and say, oh, I need to get this. I don't really need to get this. They want you to buy the higher. And the terminology Pro. Now, I have on the screen here, if you can see, I have iPad mini purple, iPad 13 or iPhone 13 Pro. Those are the two things I'm looking at from Apple right now. And the reason I'm looking at the Pro model is simply because of this. I buy the bigger version and then end up getting rid of it and getting the other version of like the next one down. And this year, I don't plan on giving up my iPhone 12. I just don't want to do it. So what I decided to do is I said, maybe I'll go ahead and get a Pro model this year, a smaller Pro model, which is the same as this, and then I can rotate cases, blah, 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 I just think the mini was so interesting, and I feel like, Apple as a company, yes, I like the mini, but the mini still has its flaws. It's just not getting Type-C, has powerful internals, yes, but it has a single camera, it has no Face ID, because when you think about this is what Apple said was the future. Face ID, future. No more touching or anything to unlock your phone. Yeah. That's just not entirely true. See a comment real quick before I get to Grant's comment. Do you think the 13 mini is the last mini? I don't know. I really can't speak on that. I hope not. Well, judging by what Apple does, they'll bring out a 13 mini Pro. And they'll add $400 to the price and give you the cameras on the current iPhone. Sound familiar? So they currently do. Yeah. Now, a smart move would be for you to grab the iPhone 12, because the iPhone 12 is going to get all of the software updates that are on the upcoming 13. That will be your smart thing to do. That will be your smart thing to do. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that. Could you say it again, please?
No, sir. Shh, be quiet. So Grant says, to live up to their iPhone 13 camera claims, their new ISP has to be amazing given it looks like the same sensor. And again, I spoke of Grant earlier. This guy goes deep. This is my man, 100 grand. He knows how to do a camera review. And it's not that he's being that he's going techie on you in the review. It's just that he's giving you the footage. He gives it to you like I do. He just gives you more of it. And he covers way more grounds about the cameras than I do. So I always respect him when I see his videos pop up in my subscription. So subscribe to Grant if you're not subscribed. So I see a question out here from someone. Let me put my glasses on. It says, Jay, the question is, as a creator, are you going to buy the 13 Pro Max? No, I'm not going to buy the 13 Pro Max as a creator. I'm just going to buy the 13 Pro Max this year instead of buying the 13. That's the plan because, see, I wanted another purple 13 to see if it was going to be a shifting color. You know how they'll do that shifting color? You know, they'll bring out the same colors but just shift them. So that's why I wanted a 13 because I don't plan on giving up my 12. But since they don't have a purple 13 or something that's some new kind of purple color, I'll just go with the Pro. I don't think I'll use the cameras for creation more than likely, but not so much as I'm going to, these are going to be my creators' cameras, nothing like that. Good question, by the way. Good question. They need an iPhone Fold. I don't agree with. I don't disagree with this. I totally agree with this. I think that the fact that they don't have one is shocking, to say the least. Let's see here. I'm going to send something here. Oops, wrong way here. I can find this. Here we go. 1 second, folks. Okay. So the fact that they don't have any kind of folding device still isn't a shock to me, but it's a direction that they're going to have to go in eventually. So I see a comment here from this gentleman here. He says, what was a bit surprising is that the 13 didn't have split screen. The Pro Max should have this feature, and I totally agree. I agree. I agree. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this comment, folks. It is totally what should be happening. And again, this is where I feel last week when I was talking about the iPhone, I feel Apple is still, again, great company. Let's be clear here. I love Apple products, but they should never use the word innovation in the same sentence with them. They just shouldn't do it because something as simple as split screen, it's ridiculous. It doesn't have it, and it should. I totally agree. It should have split screen. This is a no-brainer. It really should. So a question from Joseph here. He says, question, do you think that Samsung's going to come out with another tablet, or do you think Google is going to come out with another tablet? I don't think Google's going to do another tablet because the feedback that most people gave for the Slate, let me tell you something. The Slate is a fantastic tablet. I bought that myself. I loved it, and I passed it to the youngest one that's in college right now, and she loves it. I'm telling you, the Slate is fantastic. But when you have this mindset of Apple's running the tablet game, we're not going to give anybody else a chance, then that's what happens. Companies don't make the money back on the return, so they don't invest in it anymore. The Nexus tablets were fantastic. All right, guys, let me introduce someone here. We're going to take a second, and I'm going to bring on a very special guest. I'm honored to be on the stream with this gentleman. He's probably listening to me right now saying, what? I've been watching this guy for, I don't know if he probably knows. I've been watching him he's been on his YouTube as long as I have almost, I think. Maybe a year after me or whatever. But I think he's been a good success because I forgot the website he worked for. I know he has his own website. So I'm going to bring him on here. It's good. I've been waiting to get different people on. And hopefully he'll join me more than just once. But I understand people have a busy lifestyle. So guys, welcome the one and only, pun intended, BWOne. What's up, man?
What's going on? Can you hear me well? Can you hear me pretty well here?
Let me pick up my Bose system here. Hold on. There you go. My Bose went out. What'd you say?
Can you hear me?
Oh, you're perfectly fine.
Okay, good.
I use Bose for my. I know it's kind of expensive to put on a Mac. I like the top quality, especially when I'm editing. Yeah,
Hey,
so
I'm
my
still using.
Bose is set to timeout. I got to go into the system and figure out how to turn off the timeout because it
Mm,
times out if no sound comes out after a while. And I just got to figure. I have the Bose 500,
okay.
so I need to get
And,
into the system and figure out how to stop it from timing out because
yeah, you have the M1 Mac Mini.
I got the M1 Mac Mini. Yeah,
Yeah, it's you're doing it hardwired over Bluetooth.
no, I did hardwire. I have it plugged
Hardwired.
right in. For
Oh,
some
this
reason,
guy.
the speaker times out after about an hour or so. I think
Huh.
I don't know why it does that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
weird.
I have no
Oh
idea why
man.
it does that. But folks, the one and only BWOne is here. And if you guys know how to help me with the Bose 500, hey, I'll take any advice possible. I need to dig in there myself, but I don't feel like getting that manual out in that big old storage. I let it run.
Yeah, no,
I can
there's
Google it. I
gotta
guess I can Google it. I guess I Google it. I
there's
love the
gotta be
setup,
something
man.
in
I
it.
love the setup. I
Oh,
love.
thank you.
Oh, there's my camera. I love the setup. It looks good.
Thank you.
Smooth. I'm still working on. I mean, I have a big office, but I'm still working on that lighting thing. I have all those. I have the lights, but I just don't know how to. I'm still new at it. I know. Well, I'm not
Yeah,
new at
it,
it.
it takes some time. Like
Yeah.
I've kind of adjusted this, and maybe even now, like I'm looking at it, and I'm actually using a different lens than what I've used before because
Yeah.
this used to be an APS-C camera, but then I
Yeah.
switched to the 7C, so I have full frame
Oh yeah,
on
you love that
my
7C,
cameras.
huh? Ooh,
Yeah, I love my 7C,
that
and I have my
7C
regular
is
7. So I was like,
amazing.
well,
Yes.
and I'm waiting to get that. I'm excited for the 4. I'm excited for it whenever it releases. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't release until next year. Trying to save
I
some
hope so either because the A7C. He's talking about Sony. He's talking about the camera, guys. If you don't know, you guys know you've been following my Sony, the little bit of Sony coverage I do, but I just feel like going full frame was the best thing ever. And then the A7C has got to like be the best value if you want a full frame camera. I say.
Oh yeah,
It's
that
got
most
to be the best.
certainly. I have the A7C with the new Sony 24 that
Yep.
they put out with it, the compact one.
Yep.
So far, so good. I like it. It's definitely a little bit different on the lighting and stuff that I got to get a little
Yeah.
bit more adjusted with because I was so used because I had the 6600 with the Sigma 16, and that's like
That's mine's over
perfect
there.
talking head
Oh yeah.
like setup. Like that's
Yeah.
very set and forget it. And you just jump in and just go.
Yeah.
Very, very, very.
YouTube kind of scales us back though. I always keep a separate window open on quality. And right now, I shoot in manual mode when I'm doing streams. And obviously I'm doing 24 also. I got the 24 up there as well.
Yeah.
So it's for me when I'm looking at it, it's blurry, just enough. I gotta set just enough blurry and it's super clear. And you're super clear, but then when I open it up in a window for the stream, it definitely doesn't look the same. It looks like YouTube scales it back a lot and waters it down. But
Oh yeah, no, for sure they have to with everything's probably rocking at like 720p.
Oh yeah. And today's a launch day. Everybody's streaming and stuff like that. But man, I am honored to have you on. And I got to tell you, if you weren't watching, I didn't catch the full event. I was talking on the phone. I knew it was going to be like, and I started watching right at around the 13, and then I went back and replayed the mini because the mini is just. I think it was like the grab. It grabbed me right away when I went back and saw that on the replay. And so, guys, this is BWOne. If you're not following him on Twitter, BWOne. He's got a website too. He writes on his website from time to time. And tell him. Let me put I don't know if you have your thing up here. Let me see here. There he is. BWOne.
There I am. BWOne. You can find me on Twitter. Not so much on Twitter, but I do exist on there. But I'm Jay. I treat Twitter like you treat Twitter. Kind of the same mindset.
Website, and I get out of there. I don't even get
on
on
my
there.
website. But these days, you'll definitely catch me mostly on YouTube. If you've seen me, you've probably seen me mostly on YouTube, and that's where you'll see most of my content these days within there. I did check out the Apple event as much as I could. I got some of the iPad mini stuff, but I mostly caught on to the Series Watch things and the iPhone stuff. Watch stuff I typically skip in my head because I'm still living by the same stance I made years ago about smartwatches. I don't think they make any sort of kind of sense.
I know.
They're giant notification screens to me, but I did I liked them when they were fitness, when like the stuff like with the Microsoft Band, but then they gave up on that entire thing.
Yeah.
Even though it was like incredible what it would do, and if it just kept up with it, it would have been awesome. But it's Microsoft. They can be Google with how they have their interests sometimes, and just
it. So your thoughts, because you caught a little bit more than I did. I didn't even catch all of that. And first of all, special shout out to Gigi and JC and LaShawn and Ivan and Ike's Tech is here. Tons of people are here. the chat is rolling over here on this side. So I see you guys coming in. I appreciate you guys. Big House Productions is here. I think I saw him too. But you caught more of the event than I caught. You caught a heck of a lot more because what are your thoughts on? Because I've always known your stance on watches. I've been following you for a little bit. I was like that too, but then I started rocking with a Amazfit, and so they're affordable. And so that's why I kind of pushed that narrative, because I don't think you should spend $800 on my wife's watch. She buys the top of the line watch of most of the time for every year and stuff like that. And she doesn't sell them. So I'm like, we could get some money back for this. But, you're going to tell your wife so much. So, but you saw the event and you saw the iPad mini. What are your thoughts on how they're presenting the iPad mini? Or do you think it's actually some good value to consumers right now?
I think for those that want a tablet of that size and want consistent support, it really is the only thing that kind of exists. I mean, there are Android tablets out there, but it's not like Google pushes too much behind it. And if you you can't be not everyone could be Samsung, who can just produce something that doesn't make any money and just have it there just to say that they have it.
That's correct.
I mean, they can do that. Not many companies of that size can do that. Lenovo does that, but although Lenovo does put a lot of effort in their tablets and bring them at a pretty good price for the value. But I mean, if you're talking tablets, it's really Apple, or you're looking at Microsoft and the Surface.
Man, you struck a nerve with some people. I bet.
And here's the thing: the only reason your iPad's got USB-C or has even been stepped up to be anything of productivity driven is because of the Surface. Like, Microsoft typically doesn't do their marketing and campaigning very well, but the way they did that and positioning to make the iPad, when the Surface came out, they made the iPad look like a toy. And when they were able to successfully do that, forced Apple's hand. This is why you see that keyboard. That's why you saw that pen show up. That's why you have USB-C on it. Because trust me, they didn't want to do any of that.
You know what?
Microsoft forced their hand very hard with that.
I think a lot of people forget that when you're watching NFL games, you don't see them on an iPad. You see them on a Surface.
Yeah. You see them on the Surface. Now, granted, Microsoft probably paid for that. But
but if they wanted to use something else, they definitely could go to an iPad. But an iPad really, to me, still says media consumption. It doesn't say productivity and functionality like Apple sometimes tries to put it out there to be. If I want some true, genuine stuff, like I was having a conversation yesterday about the Fold, Microsoft is the reason that the Fold can have certain things. So, and have some title of functionality, but the same thing applies with the Surface. If the NFL League really wanted to, and Apple probably would pay too, just like Microsoft does, but can you really genuinely see the players on the field? The Hawks TV, I see you. What's going on, Barry Johnson? What's going on? Could you really see the people on the field using an iPad for their plays and
No, the most of that actually thing that does is that they how they could see the pictures of the plays from above as the game is going along. All it is that that's what that screen honestly does. That's all they do with the Surface. It's just that one thing. I have a friend that played football, and so he kind of informs me of a lot of the stuff that's kind of going on with that. So it's more a marketing thing for Microsoft than it being like they're using it for something. It's a giant picture frame basically for them, and they can draw a couple things on it.
If it came down to it, do you think they could actually, like, if they actually were diving deep, do you think they could actually I think the services would do great for a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, if they dove deep into it and really, really made it work for them, they absolutely could. It just depends upon you to be developing that for the coaching staff, and is the coaching staff going to be able to adapt to that? Is and it depends on it honestly depends on the age of the coach. Or if you're talking about like the coach of the Rams, I can't remember his name right now. Who's I think Sean McVay, or I think his name. He's a bit younger, or you're like my New England Patriots and Bill Belichick, who's like, I'm gonna tell you right now, and Bill ain't gonna do that. And around here, and Bill we trust, so we're gonna let him do how he does things.
So I'm sure you saw Nexus tweet. I think we all saw the Nexus tweet from the Nexus account where it said, "Wait on the Pixel 6 Pro, iPhone." Now I
like the way they did this. I like the way that Google did this. They just basically took the wind out of everyone's sail and said, "Yo, here's the phone. We'll give you some more information in the fall when it's about to come out."
Exactly.
And just dumped all this other stuff, like all this other nonsense about it, and I was like, I love it. A few years ago, us as content creators would have hated this because it would have been that we'd have been able to get the hands on and all that. We'd have hated this.
Oh, man.
But like right now, it's a great way to push it out. If I could see if they get a lot of media attention and current market share attention from this, even if they don't sell, they're not going to outsell the iPhone obviously on this. But if they do get some good attention from this that gives them the mind share for a little while, expect other companies to copy the same exact.
Oh yeah.
That
OnePlus
includes Apple.
OnePlus tried it with the Fold. They put two phones together. And,
I saw that.
Yeah. The 12 is still for sale, by the way. I see the comment here. The 12 is still for sale. I was just in the Apple store. And,
they usually don't drop.
Yeah, no. They just dropped the price on it. It's there.
3 years. I think it stays around for a minimum of 3 years, but some of the phones like the iPhone 7 and iPhone 8 did last longer. But they keep it around for a certain period.
Yeah,
of
they're
time.
gonna keep the 12 is a fantastic. I don't plan on getting rid of my 12 at all. Even when I buy the 13.
Out of most iPhones, I do have an iPhone 12. I don't really use my iPhone that much outside of like reviewing and a few other things I do for work. But
he says the 12. Oh yeah, he said the 12 and the Maxes aren't there. Yeah, the Maxes are going to be gone.
Yeah,
the 12s are the new. You know, they don't keep the Pro models around. They keep the other versions around, which will be the 12. I just caught that. Yeah. So phones are gone. You have to find those on carriers and like Best Buy, third party stuff. You can't find them in the Apple Store anymore. They're not going to push the 12 because no one will buy the 13 because they're the same device. It's not. No one will buy the Pros anymore. So Google's stepping out there, man, and because honestly, man, I just Apple's marketing is the only thing that holds them together. But all the polls that I did, people said they are not interested in the 13. They were like, I don't have any intentions on of buying the new version because my current device is still flawless.
I think that comes from it's every so many years. Like if you look at a lot of people stayed on, I believe it was the iPhone 4S was the one that a lot of people stayed on for a while.
That one was a long time coming.
Until the iPhone 10 came out, which was just them making an Android phone and putting iOS on it. They said it was a smart decision. They had to make this move in that space. But a lot of people probably had that 10, and then you wait a few years, few iterations, then the 12 comes out, which is a solid device. After that, it's kind of revisions. I'm surprised they didn't call this a 12S. I'm actually pretty surprised that they didn't put it.
I'm shocked too.
In front of this iteration, just because I'm like, they didn't really add necessarily a whole lot more to this. They'll throw percentages at you and whatnot. And that is just, that's not even for consumers. That's a consumer down term meant for really the media and the rest of us to take those terms and use those to speak to the audience about. It's given that it's a different time in the world these days. I think a lot of people are valuing the stuff that they've had a little bit longer than they had before. And we've reached a point in smartphones where there isn't much more that a slap-style phone's going to give you right now outside of,
I'm so happy you said
battery,
that. I'm happy you said that.
And, some little bit of better cameras out of this whole thing. But right now it is really about the small things that these can do, the little tweaks, the little spec bumps, the little, better battery, the little bit better processing, a little bit. They've reached that laptop level where it's not that much that they can really peek out to do. So they got to try to figure out some other things to do. And I think smartphones are such a regular commodity now. It's not like it's not like before where they were all priced at a high point. I mean, the used market is a full-fledged user renewed market is a full-fledged market that people only buy in that particular market. There's so many phones with so many carriers. Like right now, you some of the best valued smartphones. If you don't care if it's Apple or iPhone or whatever, you can go get some TCL phones that are really good priced right now. At this point. I wish I love trying to cover them as best I can. I wish for YouTube SEO we could do a bit more with them, because I think they really produce some really good, compelling products at a very, very affordable price, at a very good price point.
What do you think about these numbers right here on this poll? There's roughly 1,700 people, and look at the odds here, and then I'll show you the other poll from Twitter. Now, it's amazing how these match up. What do you think about? You think these numbers are true?
I think there's some truth to those numbers for sure, and obviously it's skewed to probably who's in your audience, and and then of the audience, the way the YouTube algorithm works. But the question I would have with this is, which iPhone do they have currently?
Yes.
That would be the next question I would ask. Like, do they have, are they currently on a 12 or 11 or a 10S, or maybe even a 10?
Would you go so far as to say that if they have an 11, still don't update to the 13? I would say if you got an 11, you for sure don't need to even look at the 13s. But would you say an 11 is like your farthest back you'll go before,
It really depends on the phone, because to me, I would go as far back as a 10 as long as the battery's good. That would be more my concern is on the battery. I don't factor in the software thing as much as a lot of people like to do, which I think is just a arbitrary way to try to say that someone's supporting something longer than what it is. Right. Although Apple was clearly busted for nerfing devices down, and no one did, and that was not covered. Like, that was kind of like, oh no, they support software, they nerf phones down. And I understood why they did that. My background's also in IT, so I understand some of these things from a technical perspective too. They treated that as like laptops, where they were thinking like, because the laptops were like a 5-year span in which I think they supported, or 5 OS versions before that one kind of rolled out, and they did the same thing with the smartphones, but not realizing that the longevity of a smartphone is just not at the point of laptops just yet.
You think because a conversation that frequently comes up is the refresh rate. Now, my stance on the refresh rate is just another marketing tool and a trick to get people to think that they need something that they really don't, which in fact, when you start to increase these things, you have to increase the price sometimes, and then you lose on battery life and other means of performance. So people who say that the iPhone should have had a 120 hertz display or blah, 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 or any phone, I personally don't think so. But do you think at this point in the game, especially based on price, yes, they probably could put it in there. But if it doesn't have it, you think that's a killjoy? You think that's the end of a phone if it doesn't have 120 hertz display?
Oh, of course not. But that's really all dependent upon that the tech media, or what we're going to say about those whole things.
Exactly. Boy, you hit the nail on the head.
That's how we're going to say on these. On these.
You hit it on the head. That's
and just to let the guys know, folks, from my experience, I've been around this before the term influencer was even a thing.
Yep.
So a lot of these programs and things that started and these things I was part of the beginnings of those things. So I've seen it all. Right. But I'll say, but like the honest truth is, like, does it need 120 hertz refresh rate? No. And these manufacturers know it. This is why they're making it. This is why they're doing the adaptive thing. And sort of like, hey, it's there, but we're not going to give you any real total control over it or be able to keep it on 100%. We just want to just do it for you so we can manage the battery life, to manage the expectations of what it is, because we know if we let you go full board with this refresh rate, we're probably going to take a bigger hit on battery life for it, but then you'll equate that to the phone not being good, not equating it to being
exactly
a feature that you particularly set that could possibly cause an issue. I'm pretty sure that's like, because I'm hearing everyone with the Flip 3. And their battery life sort of issues I have
a fantastic battery on mine, and I gave some tips on how to make this phone have really good battery life. But I want you to piggyback this question right here, because I love your insight on this. So first of all, there's a couple of parts here. I'm wondering, this person is right in line with your previous statement that you made, like, what phone are you currently using? But then, because they're saying, obviously, hey, it's true, not really excited about the 13, which to me will lead to your question or statement you made earlier. Which phone do you actually have already? Especially if you have a 12, and he went all the way back to 10, folks, which is kind of makes sense. But what about folding? piggyback that, because do you honestly believe that first of all, when do you think Apple's actually going to make a folding phone? Because I don't think Apple truly innovates at all. That's just personally me, but they run a good game on that they are innovating. But do you honestly believe that Apple is going to make an effort to make a foldable phone in the next, I'll push it all the way out to 5 years? You think they're going to make a phone in 5 years that folds?
Only if they're forced to. Only if the market dictates that they have to.
Yeah.
Foldables don't have the like what we used to call back in the day for what's the best way to think of it? What we used to do back in the gaming days, during the 360 days around there, and prior, the whole idea of the killer game or the killer app or the reason why you get something is because of this specific thing.
Yeah,
that foldables haven't answered that. They haven't answered that whole, this is the killer reason. This is a specific reason as to why this experience should be the experience that everyone takes over.
Exactly.
Now, what I think they could do, carve out their niche, which is what I think they should do, and be in a specific sort of space. Don't call it productivity, because it really isn't. It isn't. No foldables is really sure. Just because you can add another window to a box doesn't make it more. I mean, maybe if they focus more on promoting decks and making docks for decks and things like, I don't know, things like this. Right. Things like this Samsung made. No, this one is a Samsung made. This is actually the next dock. But things made from them directly that do those type of things, instead of trying to make it wireless, is that which just turned it into a gimmick instead of something that could actually be serious. I've taken that on sites before, and I've been able to plug my Samsung and my Note 20 Ultra in, turn on decks, then use a virtual remote desktop to use a Windows virtual desktop to make it work like a regular computer. While I'm with all that and just those two things right there, and that's all I had to carry. And it's like, those are the things like, wow, we really need to focus on this, like this, getting more out of what we have, like more out of the software of things. The hardware is max to where it is. I'm not sure how much more Qualcomm's going to do with Snapdragon, or what Apple's going to do with that, and expecting to be able to do their things anyways. The most we'll see is that as they can shrink and make 5G more efficient, they'll be able to then include that directly within the chipset, instead of having it to be its own sort of separate thing. When they're able to kind of get that going with 5G, that'll probably be the next sort of big thing. But like, there needs to be a killer app, killer reason thing that's there that says you need a foldable, not because it's going to be stylish for you, but it gives you this functionality that this particular style doesn't give to you, that fits your lifestyle in a way that you'll find that it's useful for you to use it. And I don't think the current software and services have that.
So you feel like what you said earlier, Apple will do it when they're forced to, and right now you feel like, even though you feel like the hardware is plateaued, we're still not at a space where we just have to no one should be in a rush. OEM shouldn't be in a rush to make more foldables.
Hardware's been plateaued for a few years. We just don't want to admit it. But
yeah.
It's been plateaued for a while.
But what about the foldable phones that come out? Because I personally believe that Samsung will be the company to take foldable phones, because right now Samsung's technically really the one doing it, but they're still kind of pricey for most consumers.
There's competition out there that
Samsung just gets the glory.
Xiaomi and Huawei and those that have done stuff like that, but they don't have the US access.
What do you say to this though? But Samsung will be the one, speaking in terms of Apple doing foldable, and compared to the current market, Samsung will in fact be the one who brings that first $350 foldable device that's really that's going to kind of crap on them. Some companies will make a phone that beats out their current phone, and then they have to try to sell you on why you should buy the more expensive one. Like, case in point, the A line of Samsung has always been just as great, if not better, than the S line, but they weren't pushing that in the US because they knew that. I was buying my A line, I was importing the A line because the S line was the same phone. It just cost $900 more. So I think that what you said about Apple being forced to do it, I think Apple's going to do a folding tablet first, which in turn they'll start to try to phase out MacBooks. They'll do something crazy and make this very expensive folding tablet. And
they'll go more on the line.
I don't think they're going to do a folding phone for another 10 years.
I think they'll go more on the line of the Duo than they will of a Galaxy Fold. Because even though I got the Duo, I liked the device, but it just wasn't worth it for the price that it was at the time when I got it. So I sent it back. But I knew I saw the idea, and it needs to be. It's very, very first gen ish. I know you got it, but it's just like Microsoft. You could have baked that for another year.
They could have. The bad part about the Surface Duo is that it was in production in 2017, and they announced it in 2019. They brought it out in 2020, and the software still wasn't ready. Yeah. That's the bad part about that. But Apple, I think, Apple doesn't even take advantage on their iPads. They don't even take advantage of the real estate. You can't even plug in Type-C HDMI and get a full res. You can't do it, and it's just surprising because of what's inside of the iPads. Isn't that incredible?
It's incredible. Like I think that would be their next play. Would be making something foldable or bendable or something within the Duo line of stuff with the software and make it kind of work within there, and start in that space. Make something that's more of a. It's funny to say this. It'd probably be something like a PDA. And which is really odd to say that, considering smartphones are what PDAs are. So I can see them making something like that just to see, hey, let's see if this works. We need to do something here because, we're only but so much in the space, only so much you can do in this space now.
What do you think about Apple when it comes to the way their convention is of doing their phones? Like they have the Pro. I always give the same terminology to people, or the same. I tell people, plain and simple, you'll always have an out from a company. They'll give you the product you should be buying, but they'll only glorify stuff that you don't need. Meaning, case in point, the Pro line. What do you think? Why do you think Apple keeps with this Pro thing? Some people are only buying the Pro Max.
It's a pure marketing thing.
Say again?
It's a pure marketing thing.
But they had more money on the Pro Max instead of just because of the screen size, instead of getting an iPad and then another iPhone. Why do you think people would do that? I think it's crazy.
I think I don't like the whole idea of something like this is the 12 Pro Max. Mm-hmm. The whole idea of this thing is for people like me that buy Galaxy Notes, creators and feeling that we're getting something better than what they are. Because that's if we're going to talk productivity about a lot of these devices and you're related to content creation, then sure, then you can create content and everything within these devices in total. And probably the best at it is the iPad, considering the amount of software and services that you can get with the iPad compared to what you can find on Android. And that doesn't knock. And Android is saying that it isn't capable. That's right. Because the processors and everything on there, they're the same ARM processors that can rip through X.264 just as well as A15 and just as well as the M1s, which, tech reviewers actually knew that. That's why their M1s are
They don't talk about it, though.
They don't know it, because if they ever tested it on Android, they would have known it.
Oh, yeah.
They'd have known it.
That's true.
But I think right now the reason they call it a Pro is because they have a MacBook Pro. That's why.
Again, like you said, marketing.
It's a marketing thing. It's a term they already had. It's much easier for them to do that than it is to make something else that they have to then market from scratch and spend dollars on. Somebody's buying a MacBook Pro, they can go buy an iPhone Pro, and it all sort of links together. Yeah. Although I will say, at least, on the MacBook side of things, when you put Pro on a laptop, there is an expectation that you have with that.
Oh, yeah.
And that tends to be the same across Windows or PC. It doesn't really matter. You put something Pro or Elite or something on that level, you have a certain expectation that's going to be better than what the rest are on there, and the price and spec typically usually meet that. With the smartphones and them doing this, almost nobody has really kind of met that. It's
Yeah.
been much more of like, oh, they're more like plus than pro.
Yeah.
Which when Samsung was calling the phones pluses, that was perfectly fine. When I think Apple did the same thing. Pluses,
They end up doing
pluses
it.
were a fine term because you were just getting a larger display, maybe an extra camera, and that was about what you were doing. This whole, you get the pro, this, and the other thing, and I'm like, what pros use? No, that's not how this works. Or ultra, or blah blah blah.
There's a bunch of questions in the chat. I want to pick out some
yeah.
of these because I want to tackle some of these because
yeah,
some of these are pretty good. So this first one I grabbed here was, what do you guys feel about the new Pro video feature on the 13 Pro line? And you just kind of answered this.
You mean focus pulling?
Yeah, that's not
when I saw that they were advertising focus pulling.
Yeah, I was about to say you just kind of answered this further at ProLingo, but it's kind of like sorry about that. It's kind of like again, that marketing thing. Like, I have a MacBook Pro, so I got to get this. I got an iPad Pro, I got to get this. But unfortunately, you have a lot of creators out there. You know what? I won't single myself out and act like I'm not a part of the field of creation on YouTube, but I definitely don't promote pro things just to people who I know will not ever pull their money out of this. I keep telling people, I've asked people, why did you get the 512 gig iPhone Pro 10 or 12 Pro Max? Well, I like the screen size and I wanted the memory option. Okay, so you had no intentions on, you're not I see so many iPhone 12, the bigger versions. I see them out in the wild. It's incredible. And I look at the people carrying it, and really all they wanted was a bigger screen.
Yeah.
That's all they wanted. So this person is talking about the Pro. For me, I don't see it as any real value to consumers. I'm all about giving consumers value. If you're a creator, you might pull a little bit of this, but still, even creators on YouTube, you don't have to work that hard at all.
That whole skit they did reminded me of years ago when Samsung did that live play thing, very similar with the S4 launch. And I was like, wow, they just went just as campy with this as they did.
Yeah.
Although, wow, they're running out of ideas. But like, I think it's a cool feature. Like, it's nice that you have that control to do a cinematic mode, which just because your phone shoots in 24p doesn't make it cinematic. There's a lot of other different reasons. I can slap something with 30p and slap a LUT on it and make it look cinematic. That's a term not being used right and not understood. But it's cool. People will forget about it.
Because a lot of the things that they show you in these pretty much gimmicks, you might, especially Samsung with the 108 megapixel, 100 times zoom. How many people are really going to? What are you going to use this for? And so Apple, with their way of thinking, it's the same thing.
What's funny is I used it once yesterday. I was actually at the Note has 50x zoom. Yeah, and I was at WWE yesterday on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, so there was I wanted to zoom in on the entrance and where I was sitting, and I was like, and you go into 50x, it just looks pixelated and stupid. But when I hit about 20x, I was like, okay, I can get a decent photo out of this. So it shoots it. I have the live photo on, so I'm able to go in and kind of check at the end to see which one I want. And I was like, I got a decent photo out of it. And I was like, this is the first time that zoom of this size has actually mattered for me. Other than that, it's just like, I don't need anything. You really don't need anything on your smartphone beyond maybe a 12x zoom.
10 is really sharp. When you do 10x zoom, it is really clear.
And then remember, I'm hitting 20x, which is digital at that point.
Yeah. 10 is really, really good, really clear. What's going on, Jay Gibbs, man? Tech King Mike, I see you guys coming in. I'm not too crunk, as he put it, about the Pro or the Pro model. I do like the rack style focus though. So, I mean,
rack style. That's what I meant.
Rack. I just feel like Apple is not at a place where I think they're. How do I say this? Because Apple, every fan following something that's loyal about it, they get so offended. But I'm a straight shooter. I just think Apple has run out of tricks. And so that's why like you said earlier, the hardware obviously has plateaued a long time ago, but now they're trying to get more into streaming services and blah blah blah. They have all these things to make money outside of that because their hardware. People who say that, I used to say that the hardware on the Apple products was fantastic, and I still feel like it is. It's great hardware. However, there's other devices out now that have really good hardware, and I would say even better than that, and they feel better. But Apple is at a point to me where the company itself has run out of things to get customers to spend more money. And so the refresh is coming on the 14. How long have they been pushing that narrative? The MacBook 14. Oh my God, that's been going for so long that it's a way to remain relevant. You know, like I got to keep, you can talk about it, even if they're not doing something that you like. If you're talking about them, that's marketing. You know, that's keeping you in the
the biggest thing they did was the M1 MacBooks. That was the big thing that M1 processor and putting it out there, that was them
the last thing, right?
Brand in the limelight for a long time. So far was that M1 processor, M1 things. I got everybody to check it out and try those sort of things.
Yep.
That's and if Google is smart with this Tensor processor, whatever they brand it as, I have to imagine there's a specific name for this thing that they haven't released just yet, because that's going to be the big thing.
Yeah.
Come on with the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, that it would be beneficial to them to also put their name behind that for whatever other software services, whatever the things they sort of want to put onto it. But as you said with Apple, they've always slacked in services, and they're trying to pick that up. And this has been a multi-year effort to pick those things up, because right now the only things you can do is try to innovate or enhance at a software level on phones. And that's where you're going to get those things, where you get those big changes and things like that. You see Google's doing that here with the Material U, and I'm pretty sure we'll see more stacked on top of that. Apple's obviously doing that as well too. You see Microsoft with Windows 11, and they're pushing those things as well. But that's where we are. Like the hardware itself, in most cases today, nearly across the board with smartphones and nearly across the board with even laptops and tablets and whatnot, is kind of at this peak point, because you can add as many cameras as you want to a smartphone. You can add all that stuff and try to add those things, but you don't have the software and the algorithms, everything else to take the better advantage of it. It's just a spec that's on there that's nice, but you're not getting the best out of that particular spec because the company didn't take the time to put their effort in.
That's correct.
Into some of those things. People criticize Pixels for using the same cameras for so long, but
those Pixel cameras, whew,
it allowed them to get the best that they could on a regular basis, and your camera, even on an older phone, improved over a period of time.
Oh yeah,
because of the software and because of the AI and everything else they added along to it. So it's going to be interesting now. They're making a second investment into what they're doing with the cameras this year. This is probably the third real innovation of cameras, and see where they'll go with it, because they'll probably stick with this camera system for probably another 3 to 4 phones at least before they decide to change that up again. I think it's just like right now, that's where we're at. We're like, hardware, you're not going to run out of that, but software, that's what we got to take. That's where we got to get things going.
So if you want to take a stab at this, there were several questions that we missed about should I upgrade. I'm sure you saw them scrolling through there, where people were asking, should I switch? You want to answer their question? That's why I pulled the chart up. I mean, it's kind of to me, it's a no-brainer. Don't upgrade if you have a 12. Period.
Let me bring up that chart up here as well. That's right on Apple's website.
Yeah, it's just on that. You just scroll down, go to the Apple page, go to the iPhone section, and just scroll down to the center of the page, and you'll see which one is right for you. Okay.
They actually made this easy for a change.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's like right there. They usually don't like doing this.
I know. They put it right away.
Surprise! This is actually kind of surprising. I know.
So again, folks, there was a lot of questions, and I asked Warren about this because I enjoy I can listen to this guy talk all day. I love a good conversation. Smartconversations.com. That's the plug. But I think that I want him to take a shot at this, because I've kind of reiterated certain things to people, and I think it's good to hear another person's perspective. I'm not that kind of person to where everything I say is what's right. But I love to hear someone else's point of view all the time. And if I could have 50 creators or just 50 regular people in here, the conversation would definitely be different. But you're here, man, and I want you to take center stage on this. What do you think about the people, or how do you answer those people that are saying, Warren, I got the iPhone, specifically I have the iPhone 12. Should I go ahead and switch it in? They're going to give me $530 for it at Apple, and I'll pull up Best Buy too. But Apple's giving $530 or something like that for an iPhone 12. What do you say to those people who say, hey, I'm wanting to switch. Should I do it?
And they have an iPhone 12 right now.
Yep.
$530 to basically. It's if you're a tech junkie and you like to get the latest and greatest and you want to keep on that cycle, that's definitely up to you. But in most cases, I think you should get some more time out of that hardware, or at least wait for it. You don't got to do it right now. You can wait 6 months down the line. Some random deal comes by from a carrier or somewhere.
Yeah.
You might even get better than what they offer out of this whole thing.
Yep.
Or you could sell it on Swapper or someplace on eBay. You might get more money than you would out of the trade-in for that.
Oh yeah,
sort of thing to think about. There's nothing here that is groundbreaking enough new for you to jump on in between any of these models, unless you want a little bit more battery life, which I can't wait to hear how people are going to measure that, because the whole argument with iPhones years ago was it's optimized. Anytime you hear the word optimized from a techie, please be suspect of it.
Yes.
Because it's ask them to explain what that means.
Yep.
Like, if they could thoroughly explain what optimized means in the context of the device, then yeah, I sincerely don't. But like, I look at it like this, like it at this point, like if you got an iPhone 12, you're pretty good right now. There isn't this isn't meant for you to jump right now. This for them is just like, we got to put out a new phone this year. So we got to put out something, because if we don't put out anything, investors get mad at us, which is a lot of phones. So they have to put out something that's there. We have to put out another chip that's apparently faster than the competition, but only runs one type of software. So the comparison is never like apples to, you can't compare something that can't run anything else. You can do that in Windows and stuff like that, because you have different processors and a platform the testing's on, it supports them both. But no, I would say in that case, no. If you're maybe on an iPhone 11 and you got a decent trade-in value, you might want to look at the 13 as an option for you there.
So what I did here, Warren,
see what you might get a deal on a 12, because the 12 might be even better deal for you, and you're getting the same software, unless you want a little bit better of purported battery life with a little bit larger size battery.
I tell people all the time, battery life is so subjective. I have people with small batteries getting better battery life than me with the same phone. You know what I'm saying? So
the worst thing that ever came up was that screen on time stuff in the tech community. And I don't know where it came from, but it was just like, we used to never measure things like this. And I don't know where this came from. And I just noticed something that's not in this lineup anymore.
What's that?
They completely dumped the XR.
Oh yeah. They made the SE the lower tier device.
Lower tier, and they completely dumped the XR, which is, I mean, what do XR folks do who probably got that phone on a deal? Yep. And that's like
interesting. They financed it. They took it free for 24 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. So like,
or they got a discount on it or something like that. So what I did here, Warren, was on Apple's website, they don't give you money by the storage, but Best Buy does. I know you know that already, but some consumers don't know this. So what I did was I pulled up a 64 gig because I wanted to mirror what I knew Apple was actually giving for. And even Best Buy is giving a little bit more. They tend to do this. Best Buy gives a little bit more than Apple on and Samsung. Even on launches, they do this. They'll give $80 more or whatever. They do this. So let me zoom out here. If I can get there we go. So they're giving $600 opposed to Apple's $530 or $520, whichever. But if I go in and change the memory storage on here, you're going to see that Best Buy is probably going to give you some more. And I chose an iPhone 12. I chose an iPhone 12. I just chose Verizon because for some reason they don't have the unlocked versions here, which is cool. They used to. But let's bump this up to a 256 gig and just keep everything the same and just see what the pricing what Best Buy is going to give. So now Best Buy has decided we're going to cap you on your memory option. I bet you they're only doing this because within Best Buy stores, they used to have an Apple specialist in there, and this is why they're doing it. They're saying we're not going to give you any more than Apple now, and it's kind of messed up that they're doing that. But in fact,
I'm not surprised if somebody used to work for that company. I'm not surprised what they do.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised by a lot of things that they do in terms of this stuff. Their mobile strategy has always been kind of a little bit all over the place. Even when I was there, you'll get just these random things that don't quite make a lot of sense.
right.
And then that's why you hear somebody hit the lottery with a great deal at Best Buy, and then somebody goes to the same store 20 minutes later and doesn't even get that same deal. Because it's just kind of all over the place. That's why
and it's strange that Best Buy now is offering the same on memory option. I think that's kind of foul to do that to consumers. This is why it's tough. I always tell people, if you know you're probably not going to keep your phone for a long time, do not get the highest memory option.
Yeah, no. Oh, no, definitely not. I learned that the same way, not wanting to doing that either. When I had for some reason I had gotten a good trading deal, but I had gotten the 512 Note 20, Note 10. I got the 512 Note 10. Well, actually, I still have that phone. The 512 Note 10, but then I look at the resale value and it just doesn't, that storage option never correlates to where it should in any trade-in, and usually when you put it in online. So like I agree with you on that. Like getting the top storage option typically doesn't make sense. 256 tends to be the good sweet spot to have everything. If you're recording a lot of content, then yeah, you might want to bump for the 512 or something like that. I personally say have a better strategy of getting that type of content off device and backed up someplace else. Easily, if you need it accessible, there's always cloud options. Don't leave everything on the phone. Yeah. Just so you don't if you have everything on there, then it dies and you lose everything. So it was just kind of mean,
And it's kind of sad that they don't have an excellent condition. You see how they kind of cap you off? They're forcing you to say that it's only good or fair or broken, which isn't right, because some people's phones, like most creators, have their phones in pristine condition. Yeah. They literally keep it. I keep my boxes. I keep everything.
Keep everything.
And it's just become a habit for me because I don't do a lot of reselling, but if I do, I want to make sure that whoever has it outside of me is going to get it as though it's, it was brand new to them.
Oh yeah. I treat myself exactly sort of the same way. The only
time look at this, it's ridiculous. They're offering $285 for this thing that costs $1,000. That's ludicrous.
That's why, I tell a lot of people, just sell it on check the resale value on a site like Swappa, or even on eBay, just to see, even with fees, if you could end up with more money in your pocket than you may on a trade-in, when with Best Buy or directly with one of the vendors or something like that, because those trade-ins aren't always the most fair, and it can be random. Like Samsung site can be random about how it does trade-ins.
Oh yeah, Samsung definitely is. They offer better trade-ins than Apple every year. They give you it's just better over at Samsung when it comes to launch events. And
I also think it benefits them that they're a semiconductor company, and they're also they deal with minerals, they deal with all this stuff. So it's they can. I think they're one of the few that technically can make everything themselves. I think they can do everything without having to outsource anything. I think them and LG were like that. But so I think that allows them, we'll take this higher trading because all we're going to do is recycle these parts and throw that into the mix to make something new again. So they get their recouping costs when they see that.
Exactly.
And that benefits them down the line.
Exactly.
But with trade-ins, I tell folks to if your phone's in mint condition and looking really good, just sell that yourself, or try to do that outside of the trade-in. It's a little scratched up, a little scuffed up, got some marks on it. Yeah, take advantage of that.
Oh yeah,
trade in from the carrier there. But
I just don't believe that. I think some people, like you said, I tell people that too. I tell them, hey, if you just have to have the latest and greatest, shout out to Eric East Producers, I see. If you just have to have the latest and greatest, I always tell people try to at least sell it, man. I mean, don't accept some of these low trade-ins, but I think Samsung has probably got to be the best. And with the times that I've done a trade-in, I didn't have to give the box to charger, but I always do it that way when I did do a trade-in for the packing and protection, because they don't use any of that stuff. When you take your phone to a store to trade in at like a cell phone store, which I haven't done in I don't know when.
Oh no, they don't take it. They dump all that stuff. They just take the phone.
Yeah, they
put it in a plastic bag and they ship it off.
Yeah, that's what they do.
It goes.
So the iPhone launch. What do you think about this new color? Like, what do you think about, before we get out of here? What do you think about Apple's color schemes and how they do it? I personally, I said earlier, I said, hey, they'll bring out another color and act like it's special, and it took a special way to make it, and it was dipped in this, and it was all this, when it's just a freaking color.
Well, they got that from Samsung, who was doing that when they went. Samsung was talking about, this is how we made Onyx black, and I'm like, what? They went through a whole 5-minute segment during that presentation talking about that. I was like,
unbelievable.
I'm always a fan of different colors. I do like this blue that they've been doing.
They're calling it Sierra blue. It's just powder blue.
It's just powder blue, whatever. I would like to. I'm always a fan when I see a purple phone. I always like, because that's that nice unique color that not many people have. It's a ubiquitous color. Guys and girls can both rock that color. It's just unique. That's the one. And it's not too bright, not too dark, and
that blue from last year to me was hideous. Ugh, I hated it. Ugh, I did not like it at all. I just despise that blue.
Oh, you didn't like this blue?
No, not at all, man.
I did like the specific blue. I did like that shade. I did like it. I was between that or getting something gold, and I was like, I've done that already. Man,
we gotta look at this before we get out of here.
Oh boy!
They offer now a 1 terabyte for $1,600.
No,
who's buying that?
just no.
Well, come on, I ain't get it out yet. Who's buying that phone, man? Who's buying that phone?
The people, the 1 terabyte phones that exists for a lot of IT departments to buy, for that CEO, for that, like, those high level executives.
Yeah.
Give them this high phone, like, we spent this money. This is the phone you get to give them the best of the best, so they feel that they have it, so they can lose it in a yacht somewhere off the Pacific.
Right.
Like, that's exactly why that thing exists.
Oh my god! Because
I gotta see
using a terabyte of storage, man.
I mean, like, at that point, I would say Sierra Blue. That's a weird name. 1 terabyte of the Pro Max. We'll get it unlocked. $1,600. And they want $1,600. Like,
that's the price of one of their other products. That you could actually give you some real functionality. One of their computers, a tablet and another phone.
I think isn't that the base price for a MacBook Pro?
Yeah. No, the MacBook Pro actually costs more than that, right? Let me go over here real quick. Let me see.
$1,600.
MacBook Pro base price. Let's see here what it's looking like.
Where's Flossie with the TGH? Where's Flossie? I just want to hear Flossie say that price and just go off on it, because he is.
Yeah. So you'd have to go up to, it's in between. It's the M1's right here. It's like a $1,500 for the M1, but that's 512. So if you start to put this together, you start to really trick it out, then just change the memory. Oh, you know what? No, here we go.
Bring this up here from Technically T right here. This is a good question here.
Let me see where'd it go.
This one he brought up right. This is a good comment.
I know at least 3 people who are getting the 1 terabyte. Mostly people who use their phones to record everything, and they don't own a camera.
Buy a camera.
I was gonna say, I hope he told them. I hope you told them, go buy a camera.
At that point, if you're recording everything and you're that, like, I mean, buy yourself, if you just need something small that's just like pocket, like you're doing like vlogging, the DJI Osmo to do something like that, or just get yourself an A6100, 6300, 6400, 6500, 6600.
Warren, look at this though. Look at this. Now, this person isn't wrong. I just don't see the point in this. Like, if you're a real creator, for a content creator on YouTube, let's just use YouTube as if you're a creator on YouTube, it is not wise to spend $1,700 on something like a phone to use when a phone cannot match a mirrorless camera or a DSLR. It just cannot happen. Unless they just feel like they have to be portable all the time, it's still not worth it to me. Because you can get an external thumb drive to plug into your phones now.
They have things like Gnarl boxes as well too that you can plug it in. I know one of my other creators that he had it on LumaFusion, and he uses a Gnarl box to be able to get the data from his A7S3 over to the tablet. So there's so many other like options. It's not so much like I understand the convenience point of it. It's you're putting all your eggs in one basket, and that is not something you should do. If you are a content creator, even if you're doing this as sort of a side project or something that you're doing on the side, I believe I started the days before smartphones became a thing, so I had to go buy the point and shoot and things like that. But today, you guys have it a lot easier to start off with smartphones, and I think it's a good idea to start at that space. But there is a point where you need to sort of maybe make that flip or adjustment. I would suggest you to buy two phones. One you dedicate to recording and one you dedicate for your own thing rather than to have both of those in 1 terabyte. It's not even that the phone will die. I think of it, what if you lose the phone?
Exactly. Warren, response to this. I want you to hit up some of these questions. Tech King Mike, Shop My Man Tech King Mike. He says, by the time you spend that money on a camera and a phone, you're better off with 1 terabyte iPhone. I love you, Mike, but I would never push the narrative of buying a 1 terabyte phone.
No. The camera gear is gonna go a whole lot further, a whole lot farther.
Value
with not as much of a learning curve as you may think, because you can recommend something like the RX 1000 from Sony, or the ZV-E10 as well too. From those if they're doing vlogging and things like that. Are very, very simplistic cameras that are less than $1,000. Yeah, half this price. Like what do they offer right now? The new one that just came out, the ZV-E10 interchangeable lens.
Yeah, that was $799 with the kit lens.
$799 with the kit all together, and you're gonna get a better quality, more out of it, and probably better resale value down the road than just that one.
I don't know how you feel about this one, Warren, but let me tell you how I feel about this one. See, I think there's a big misconception when a person makes a statement about tell them to get a camera if they're a creator. I know that the phone is not trying to be a mirrorless camera, but the point is it's not a smart investment in a phone camera. Any person using a mirrorless camera, like technically T said earlier, he said, hey, listen, he said, I know that I told him his comment earlier. He said, I told him, but they just don't want to do it. And they feel like they don't want to learn a camera. But we know a phone is not trying to be a mirrorless camera. That's not what it's about. It's about value to the person and making a smart decision when it comes to being a creator. It is not wise to spend $1,600, in my humble opinion. I'm not saying people are wrong for doing it. That's not the point I'm making. I'm saying, as a creator, it is not wise to spend $1,600 on a phone that is limited the way it is. Even if you want to be mobile and all this stuff, like Warren just said, there's plenty of cameras out there where you can get so much more, and you really don't have to. You can still be mobile. You can buy an iPad and a camera, and it'll do better than an iPhone.
There's a lot of people that do that have an iPad and a camera, and either USB stick or like a Gnarl box that can wirelessly transfer the data over from the SD card from the camera right over into the iPad, edit on LumaFusion, and have a completely minimalistic setup.
Right.
I know several editors that roll that way.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you guys, Mike. I'm not saying again. You know how to roll. I don't think there's no wrong answer. I'm just saying from where I sit, I would never recommend a person go buy a 1 terabyte phone for $1,600 plus taxes, which if you get up to about $1,800 where I live at. I just don't think it's a wise investment. And I think as a creator, you can't force another creator to make a choice that you think is right for them, because the fact is, to the person that said, Jay, well, you use phones to record. I see you right there, amigo. yes, I do use phones to record on the channel, but they don't cost $1,700.
Yeah,
They cost like 500, 400, different prices.
the
And
majority of creators use, like, the majority of our smartphones are in terms of recording content, at least in the tech community, is mostly B-roll, secondary camera.
right.
We're at an event and we just need to record something real quick, type of thing, and we don't want to bust out our own camera, so we use this to do that. To shoot with it, more so than it being like, oh, this is our main camera.
Yeah, I think Greggy, I got love for you, but I think you're totally missing the point here. Even if you're not a creator, even if you're not a creator, you still is not a wise choice to spend $1,700 on a phone, if just because it has 1 terabyte. That's just a personal. I respect your opinion. Don't take it that way, but I think this is kind of going over your head because you're in defense mode. Okay, so T said earlier, yeah, I tried to tell them to get it, but hey, they just want to do their own thing. Tech King Mike said, hey, some people just like to be mobile. I don't think they're disagreeing with me. I could be way off, but I don't think they're recommending people buy $1,700 phones to not be something else. I think that's a total, and yeah, I don't think people are. It's convenient to pull out a cell phone, but when you just think about that, why would you go out and spend $1,700 on a phone when you can, in fact, do that?
There's very few like this. Like maybe the photographer that's already got something like a Sony A1 and they're a traveling photographer and they want to grab that as a secondary camera for them, or certain specific things they do in terms of social media. Yeah, I could see them buying that, maybe because they don't want to rely on cloud storage because they're traveling everywhere, and that data could be kind of expensive to do that.
Right.
There are definitely use cases for that, for those scenarios where 1 terabyte sort of makes sense to sort of have. It's just like it's $1,600. That's a pretty big ask, because even from $13.99 to $15.99, that's a huge jump, even from 5 total to 1 terabyte.
Right.
But
I mean, really, I think what it boils down to is people will, like, indirectly, people will justify why they're spending this money. People do it on their cars, their houses, their boats. Tech King Mike always makes a point to point out, yeah, a car is just a car, so you don't need a Hellcat. That's true. It's about what you like sometimes. And I'm definitely not trying to sway people not to buy the 1 terabyte iPhone. I just don't think it's a wise investment, especially as a creator. I think investment and 1 terabyte iPhone don't go together, because
another thing to go with that is how long is the iPhone going to last versus the length that a camera is going to last.
And also resale value. Everybody resells their phones at some point or another, and the chances of Apple coming out next year with a 2 terabyte iPhone that costs $1,600 is likely. It's likely, the way that they every year they're bringing out a device. But your mirrorless camera from 5 years ago, you can get almost 90% of that money back, depending on how you're using it.
Yeah, and I mean, I got a good price back for mine. eBay took a good chunk of it, but I got a good price back in terms of how my resale value was from A6600, and that was only maybe 6 to 8 months old. You can just like I'm looking at it. I think we're all looking at, me and you both looking at perspective of. It's you're spending $1,700 on a phone that has a limited shelf life to it versus a camera where I think Sony just recently discontinued the A6100, or it was, I don't know which one it was.
No, it's still that's still in rotation.
There's one they discontinued.
I think it's the 5100.
5100, which is
might be the 5100. Let me see.
That's like recently, and that camera has to be over 5 years old.
But the 6000 was like their top selling camera. That 6000 had so many problems, but it was like their top selling. I mean, people just went crazy for it, Yeah, the A6100 is still selling like crazy. Let me open it up here. The A6100 is still there. It'll probably be the 5100 or the 6000 that they might have discontinued. But man, great conversation all the way around, man. I truly believe that you should always, because when you think about it, they're selling 1 terabyte iPads. Like, if you're really want to be in a creator's field for YouTube and you want to use something, I would go with a 1 terabyte iPad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
especially
would
if you're going
definitely
to
do
store a
that.
lot of content down there. If you're bringing video and
Oh
photos
yeah,
that are like, some of these, high resolution cameras that can have like 40, 50 meg photos.
oh yeah,
If you're bringing over 4K video, especially recording something like
yes,
A7S, or if you're starting to record some
yeah,
10-bit and the size of those files, you bring those
yeah,
over because you want to edit LumaFusion, or you're doing dailies, you're doing like
exactly,
stuff right on the go.
exactly.
Absolutely. Like I would knock
They
somebody
even
for
have
I
look.
think 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte on an iPad, I think is the minimum you should go, especially on iPad Pro.
Yeah. So if you're serious about creation and you want to be mobile, because they do have the LTE versions as well, I would
Yep.
say if you know you're going to keep this forever and ever, and you're not the type of person that switches it up
Way
like
longer
that,
shelf life.
you might as well just go all in. I mean,
Yeah.
you
What
might
does
as well
that
go
look?
all in. Add the pencil, add the keyboard, and make this your go-to. Because when you think about it, this 2500 gets you 2 terabytes. Well, 2400 gets you 2 terabytes, and it gets you the pen. I mean, I think I added add pencil. Oh, I need to select it. So then let me see, add keyboard.
Even if you
I'm just
match
kind
it
of adding stuff here.
correctly,
So
even if
$2,800, and you can find these on sale too. So you don't have to get it from Apple, because the keyboard right now is on sale for $200, and the pencil is still a pretty good price. But you could get, so let's just say $2,600. You get the pen, the 2 terabyte iPad, and you get the keyboard for $2,600 roughly, opposed to the $1,700 for one phone. I think this is a better deal for a creator.
And I just did it on here for the 1 terabyte model,
Mhm.
Wi-Fi plus cellular, 12.9 inches,
Yeah,
2,400 with the pen, everything included into it. Maybe you say you don't need to, you take the pen out or something like that.
yeah.
I would recommend the keyboard for these things, even though you can use other devices. But it's just like, even if you take that out, I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
still,
I think a
22
person would just do so much better with an iPad Pro, because you can do LumaFusion. You can do a whole bunch of stuff on there, man.
a
You
whole
could
bunch
really
of
get
stuff.
it in on an iPad compared to a phone.
And it's going to be
But
a lot
I
of
understand the pocketability and portability. I get it.
And if you don't know
Yeah.
how to do something, there's so many people that are on YouTube teaching that workflow, because they're working within that workflow, that you're going to be able to get the most out of
Yeah.
that workflow. You
Right.
can even drop it down. Like 1 terabyte is great. If you want to save a little bit more, go 512, you could,
Yeah.
because you can use external storage to push it around.
That's right. That's right.
That drops it down to $2,000. Like there's so many different options with that. You can go smaller. 12.9 versus 11 point, it was 11.
And I think a lot of people preferred the 11, from what I could tell. I think a lot of people said they preferred the 11.
Yeah, I dropped it down to the 11. We'll put 1 terabyte with the 11.
Mhm.
Wi-Fi cellular. Never engrave these things.
Yeah, no,
No
they won't
sad.
buy them back from you. That's all.
That's
So
just
you can get a 2 terabyte 11 with the keyboard and the pen for 2,500. That's a good deal, man. If
I'm
you're just
looking at-
thinking it from a creator standpoint. Yeah.
Yep. Let me remove the pencil, because that's kind of optional in this sense. But I think the keyboard is something I would definitely grab on.
Look, I love this comment right here, Warren. He says, "What do you think about people just buying it just to show off?" I mean, they're always going to exist. They're always going to be somebody there for
Go on
branding.
Instagram and watch them do it.
You know what I've never understood. On a side note, I've never understood why people, when the Apple Card came out, people were posting the amounts that they got approved for like that was something spectacular.
Oh, I ranted about
The
that.
Apple Card is definitely not the best credit card.
Oh, it definitely isn't.
I have a real credit card, and there's
That's my
no
other
reason
thing
for you to put your limits. I think what people are trying to do is, like you said, show off. And I think
trying to
that goes
flex.
to this comment right here. People putting down, I got the 1 terabyte. When in reality, when it comes to trade in or sale, they're not going to get anywhere close to what they paid for it, because no one is going to give you $1,500 for an iPhone just because it's a 1 terabyte. It won't happen.
It won't happen.
Even if
For
it's in mint condition, it's not going to happen.
Those I want to, because I'm in the credit card game as well too, and I know a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Although I've only done like one YouTube video on it ever, just because it was the Apple Card. If you have the Apple Card, that is literally a mid-tier card. It is not a high-end card. It is not. But I have like real cards. Like that is not a high-end card. Like I think I remember somehow I went to look, and I could tell they're desperate for signups, because I looked at it one time on my phone and it just popped up with I was already pre-approved. For what it was, and I was like, that's small. That I would like. They gave me a pretty decent sized amount, but I was like, like the what it offers isn't like the best at all. Like there's so
Greg
many
is
more better
crazy.
cards out there. There's so
Greg said
many.
Larry Star Wars gift card compared to my actual credit card. That's funny. That's hilarious. But I saw people posting, "Ooh, I got 25,000. Oh, I got 10,000. I got all this stuff." I'm like, wow. These. I mean, first of all, putting something like that on the internet is just comical at best. Showing off
people I know
limit.
who got that, like got those type of real limits, were like people that I know that actually buy Mac stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Edwards. It was like that. Like
I just don't see the point of putting your credit card limit on the internet to show, "Ooh, I got an Apple card, I got $20,000." I'm like, first of all, that's it. And then the next thing is that's private. Like what it's just to show off, really. I don't care who the person is. You did that just to show off, and it's pointless. And you can't. Most people probably can't get my card, and I'm not the show off type of person. But I will say this: I will not disclose my limit because it's pointless. But my card is black, and that's all I have to say. It took me about 15 years to get to that point, and that's just about 20 years. I have 0 interest rate, and it's not a freaking Apple card. It's a real credit card from a company that is well made, bigger than Apple could ever be. It's a financial institution. So, but what's the purpose of me telling you, "Oh, I could buy a house on my credit card"? What's the purpose of me saying something like that? Just to show off. I remain humble, but I've already said it before that I have a black card. That's nothing. But I'm not using it like these people. I'm not buying MacBooks and stuff like that. That's stupid. I mean, many things play a part.
I just got 2 big bumps up recently because there's a credit. They're trying to get people. There's not enough people on credit debt, so they're bumping people up to try to get them to spend more money. And I just got a couple of like significant ones on there. And I looked at them. I was like, cool. My total thing is up a little bit higher. That's nice.
I mean, there's way too many people.
It's not that hard to get a 5-digit number. Like you need a 5-digit limit on your card. It's actually not that hard to get that to happen.
You gotta have some. Again,
you get to the point where you almost don't want all your cards having that.
I'm to the point now where I'm down to just 2 cards, and the only reason I kept the other card is because I had a history with them. It's definitely a higher limit than most people probably have on my smaller card, but it's just like I just got it there for credit purposes. Like my main credit card, the one that I worked 20 years to get. I'm being honest. I didn't just wake up one day and get this fantastic credit card. Heck no, man. I had to make sure my credit was right. I had to make, you have to make sure things are paid. You have to have a good history in order to get certain credit cards.
Oh yeah.
You have to have a history, and it
took
like
a while to get to history.
Yeah, it took me about 20 years to even be able to apply for the card, and then it took them like a week and a half to do a background check just to get a freaking credit card. And I was like, wow, I feel great, but I'm not gonna go on Twitter and start saying. I mean, I've had this card for some time now, obviously, but the point is, I just think the Apple card thing is just a joke, man. It was just free marketing from Apple. Oh, I got 20 grand. Oh, I got 40,000. Oh, I got this. I'm thinking, man, these guys.
I'll at least say this: it's a mid-tier card that they made metal, so it made it feel a little bit more special.
Oh yeah, my card is titanium. My card,
most of my cards are metal too, and it's just like
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke, but and no shade to the people who did that, but you're the ones who put yourself out there like that by putting your credit card limit on the internet and telling people you're doing videos on it. I'm like, what the heck? I thought that was kind of weird, but nonetheless, man, the Apple event, God, Warren, man, I could. My wife is gonna be here in a little bit. I could talk for an hour with you guys, man. I love the good conversation. Man, you gotta come on again when you have time, dude. Because I'm here every Tuesday.
Definitely, man. We can work it out. I can come through here.
Yeah.
Yet again.
I started a little later today because I was doing a recording of a video I'm going to release on the Apple. Like I said earlier, if you're just catching this, I actually recorded my thoughts on the Apple event, and I put it into a shorter, like 10-minute video for some people that can't sit through an hour stream or whatever. So that video, I finished that right before I started this right here. And if you're just coming in and you see us kind of kick back at this point, just chatting, well, it's been almost 2 hours since we've been on here. So I can only talk for so long about an iPad mini and an iPhone.
There wasn't much to talk about this year in terms of something new and something innovative. It was really like, hey, we put out this is the S line this year. That's the best way I would say.
Live stream right now. I'll call you right back.
But it's the S line of phones this year, and that's fine. If you're in the line for that, this could be a really good pick up and buy for you. But if you're still on an iPhone 10, you're probably getting all the updates and everything else, and all it there isn't going to be something that's so significantly different for you this go around just yet.
Yeah.
I think the best bet for you is like if you need the storage, or maybe if you need that battery refresh, and that's kind of or you want pink colored phones or something. I don't know.
Right.
You want that whatever new pink, whatever color they're doing.
I don't know. My wife. People know my wife. My wife always gets the highest tier, like the highest memory option. And don't think that she's an exception. I mean, I still ask her too. Like, I know why she buys the highest memory option and the biggest version of the phone, the screen size. She stores all the grandkids on there. She stores stuff on her phone, even though we pay for 10 gigs cloud or whatever Apple's cloud. We pay for that too. But she likes to physically have things on there. So I'm like, whatever, do what you got to do. No, I don't care. I have like 100
understand
phones.
That though. That feeling of like ownership.
She stores it all on there, so that's why she buys it. And I'm not making an excuse just because she's my wife. I've told her obviously why in the world, but she's not a techie person, even though she has pretty much every phone I have just about probably, but she's not a techie person. But still, the point is, it's a matter of the perspective of the person using it. Everybody's going to buy what they want because they want it. There's no need to try to argue with them about it. But by the way, great conversation on the $1,700 iPhone. I
just thought about something with the $1,700 iPhone.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a $1,700 iPhone. Doesn't come with a charger.
Oh, that's right. It doesn't even come with a charging brick. Oh man, you gotta buy it. You're right.
You spend $1,700. You don't get a charging brick.
You're right.
You don't get any
headphones. You are so right.
You just get.
I just thought about that. Wow, I didn't even think about that.
There's some laptops that give you more than that. Like give you some crappy headphones.
You're absolutely right. I didn't think about that
price.
I didn't think about that.
Like I said, if it's a niche product and it's in your wheelhouse,
I didn't even think about that. You're totally
absolutely
right.
grab it. It's for you, but I don't want to see everybody grabbing that because they feel it's the best because it has the most on it. If it's not something that you need,
or are going to keep for about 5 years to really kind of get the return on it.
Hopefully they continue to update it for 5 years.
Yeah,
even after, and you're getting all the good updates from it.
Oh yeah. So man, look, man, Warren. Oh my God, I'm thankful and humbled that you blessed us with your presence on the stream. I've been really wanting to get you on since 3 weeks ago, but I understand people have a life, so because that's what I got to get done. I'm trying to get me another coffee in before my wife gets here because we're probably gonna go grab a dinner or something like that. And man, I love having conversations about this stuff. Everybody who was in the stream, especially the people who voice their opinion about it, keep doing it. You guys make the stream by giving the questions in the comments. So every Tuesday I'm here. Normally I'm here with my Project 13. Again, he has something to do, but hopefully we can start getting Will H. I'm so used to his other. He changed his name. Will likes Will's Gadgets and More. He changed his name from Will H Tech Reviews to Will Gadgets and More. I got to get him on. I got to start kind of hoping he'll come on more, and hopefully Anthony will be back next week. But if Anthony's not back next week, I'm going to fire it up next Tuesday as long as I'm available. And we're going to keep this train rolling, man. I love conversations about everything that's current. The 6 Pro, the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, that is going to be explosive. To me, that has been like the most exciting news that we've gotten.
Like last year, the iPhone 12 was the big buzz in 2020. That was the big buzz. This year, it's the Pixel. Maybe Samsung could pull something off in a couple years because they haven't had that where they've been the big talk probably since maybe the Note 10. They haven't been that big talk for a little while, and it's important to have that to these companies, especially the marketing departments. It's very important for them to have mind share. That's how that's how they prove their value a lot of times because they can't necessarily prove it on how much they sell because there's a lot of other factors that go into that, but they can prove mind share. And right now, this is the most mind share Google's had on a Pixel.
Oh yeah.
In a long time, and
then they dropped the 5A like a champ. They brought that out like nothing. It kills. It kills. Oh man, I get easily 2 days, 7-8 hours of battery life on it. That thing is just ridiculous. So Man, Warren, tell them where you're going to be at on social media, your website, whatever, and then I'll close it out and we'll play that little cartoon intro this time to get up out here, I think.
You guys can find me on basically YouTube, youtube.com/BWOne.com. Just Google my name, I'll pop up. Search my name, I'll pop up on there. I do have a full website at BWOne.com. I'm on Twitter at BWOne.com. I'm also on Instagram, BWOne.com, and I think those are the main 3 socials that I usually be on the most.
Basically, BWOne.
Yeah.
That's an easy way to find them.
It's either spelled out as you see it here, or the DOTCOM is spelled out with the name as well. Either my face will be somewhere on it, so you can find me there, and we can hang out and connect there.
No doubt, man. Follow him on there, man. Hit his channel up, especially on Twitter. He's got like 15,000 people on Twitter following him. So if he doesn't respond to you, just kind of get in line because he's got he got a bunch of people following him on Twitter. So, but yeah, I am Jay Will, obviously, and smartphoneconversations.com. You can see the latest posts. I'm going to put a post up right after this right here, or sometime tonight. I'll put it up probably, and we'll let this live stream right out so you guys can catch that replay because I don't want YouTube to bump it yet. But wow, man, I'm crazy humbled to have Warren on, man, and this is so much fun.
Thank you for having me, man.
Man, you have no idea, dude. I was excited because I follow you for years, and I know your flow. So I said this is gonna be great. He's gonna keep this conversation. If my wife wasn't like coming home right now from wherever she was at, I could keep rolling. But Tuesdays, I try to have a little bit of stream time, but. Man,
all we need is Thunder E in here as well too. And
we'll
go for 24 hours. Easily.
God. Yeah, my dog is a giant monster of a dog is running around in here somewhere, so I got to go out there and check on this dog. But hey, thank you guys, man. Let's get this colorful outro going from Restream, and we'll see y'all next Tuesday.
See you guys. Thank you.